Start off with the great story of entrepreneurship and where you started as an attorney and got to this point.
Okay, well, I'll give you the story. You can decide if it's great.
Okay.
I graduated from law school back in 1976 from Chicago, and it was like this from the economy perspective. There were no job opportunities, and I ended up having to move 90 miles out into the cornfield, so to speak, to a very small town in central Illinois where I got started. It's
nice to know that these eventually pass, right?
I always assumed that everybody, when they graduated from law school, couldn't find a job. You only do it once, right? But these things come around and they hit all the professions. Nobody is immune from this, and it's definitely hitting. In fact, there's been a lot of stories about law firms, large law firms, doing layoffs. In fact, more stories in this recession than in any that I've seen in the past 32 years. So rather than give you the whole story, I'll tell you where I have gone, because I have always considered myself an attorney representing business owners and not businesses. I do primarily corporate and real estate, and the firm also does estate planning like David does. But we consider ourselves as representing the owner. We like to represent the entrepreneur. I have represented large companies, listed companies, and we made a decision when we started this firm, we're not going to do that. If we can't get to the person in charge, what we call the entrepreneur, it could be the president, it could be the CEO, it's normally the founder and the decision maker. That's who we're interested in representing.
Do you just find that you have more impact? Is it funner? I mean, why is your focus there as a law firm?
Well, for me, it's more of a challenge, and it's definitely more interesting than trying to deal with corporate bureaucracy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just not what we're about. The largest firm I've ever been in was 13 attorneys, and I managed that one. And it was just too big for us. So we're very small now. Have traditionally been small. We try to get to the entrepreneur, to the decision maker directly. That's who we want to represent, and so far it's worked for us.
Tell us a little bit about your law firm, Lubbers Intervew. What's your main focus, and where are you helping business owners?
Well, when it comes to the business owner, obviously it's the business. They need help with the business. They'll need help personal, which has always been real estate. I've always found that most businesses will try to, for example, have their children's trusts own the buildings, and then the business rents it back, as David well knows. So you need to understand real estate for investment and for business purposes. And then we do the estate planning, because you need business succession. You need to plan how to go about getting it down to your kids. What I don't do is divorce, so that we draw the line.
That's another set of business planning
that we refer out. Yeah, so.
He is a lubber, not a fighter.
That's right. Yeah, we do no litigation, as a matter of fact.
I want credit for that, Joe.
Yeah. Was that JD's joke of the day told by David?
No, we'll give him full credit for the upcoming joke of the day. I have nothing to do with this one.
All right, tell me a little bit about real estate, and obviously that's changed dramatically over the last couple of years, even couple of months, and probably how you focused and helped clients with real estate.
I've been here in Las Vegas for 21 years, and it's been a very good 19 of those 21 years. But it all changed, in my opinion. I started watching the stock prices of the national home builders on May 31st of 2006. That's when it became obvious to me that something was going to be happening in the market. Now, the second half of 06, we were still rocking and rolling. We still had a lot of sales. But that is actually when we started noticing that it was getting tighter, and that buyers were having more and more difficulty qualifying. So from that point on, what we noticed is, I always tell people, in the good old days, you could convert land into cash very easily. Put a building on it, call it a house. You might remember we used to have auctions because the demand was so great.
Right.
They had lotteries, actually, is what they were.
Now we have auctions.
Yeah, now we have auctions. Yeah. And in 07 we stopped the ability to convert land into cash. And so we went from a land-dominated environment, the economy here, to now, of course, cash-dominated. And so many people got caught saying, what happened? Because, for 20-plus years, it was so easy to convert land into cash that they were just making money hand over fist. You could flip land and just do it. I had never seen a period of time where you couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden it falls off the table. So since that time, the real estate aspect of my practice has really been much more dealing with the banks, the lenders who were secured in the real estate, or wish they were secured in the real estate, or maybe wish they weren't secured in the real estate, depending on your perspective, I guess. and dealing with the banks and how do we get these things restructured, forbearance agreements, avoiding foreclosure, doing foreclosure.
Okay, so run me through a scenario. I'm a business owner. How do I mentally know, you know what, I should probably call Ed Lubbers? I mean, what's happening in my life that usually someone's giving you a call?
In the last couple of years, it has primarily been either I can't draw anymore on my line of credit, or I just got a what we call a remargining notice. I don't know if you know what a remargining notice is, but that's your loan to value went out of whack, send us some money. Now those are always shots across the bow, as I tell the clients. They're just telling you, we want to create a default so you can never draw on your line again. That's really what banks are trying to do. That's when they get that, that's primarily when they're starting to call me. Unfortunately, they might be a little bit late at that point, because once you can't draw anymore, my advice to most of the clients have been, draw your line of credit to the max, because you've got to anticipate that the bank's going to shut you off, and you can't get it then. So you need to draw it to the max, preserve cash, and put it in a bank that you don't owe any money to, so that they can't set off against you. But if they already got the notice, it's a little bit late.
So would you say cash flow is a big issue for many businesses, and to compound that, then banks are starting to lower that line of credit option?
I'll go along with that, but I'd also add cash management more than just cash flow. And I think 2009 has been all about cash management. I thought 2008 was about survival. If we got into 2009, to me it was all about cash management. And what that means to me is you have to look at every dollar on a going forward basis. You cannot say, well, I'm going to continue to make these payments because I have so much invested in that land. It doesn't matter. If you paid $800,000 an acre and it's only worth $200,000 now, it's only worth $200,000.
Right.
Do you really want to put another dollar into it? You have to manage your cash on a going forward basis. You can't look back and you can't throw good after bad.
Tell me a little bit about your perspective on partnerships. I mean, someone comes in and says, "Hey, I want to partner with my friend here. I think that would be a great idea."
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I have a standard rule. Whenever anybody comes into my office, they want to do a partnership. All partnerships are doomed to failure. That's by going in believing. Somebody
So you're an optimist.
Yeah. Somebody is going to feel abused. At some point in time, some partner is going to say, I'm doing more work than the other person, or the other person is getting more money than that person should. So that's the going in. Now, from that perspective, let's figure out how do we make this thing work.
Right. Okay. So now that one of you is going to feel entitled to more and one of you is going to feel put out, then how do we make this relationship work going forward?
Right. Most of them say, oh, it won't happen to us, Ed. And I say, okay, yeah, sure. I've only been doing this for a while. It's going to happen. Anticipate it. We need an exit strategy. Let's plug it in.
Now, when we come back from this break, I want to talk about the Virtual Chief Legal Officer program and how you're implementing that for entrepreneurs and business owners to have attorneys basically in their company all the time. You're listening to the Entrepreneur Life Show, the only show for business owners and entrepreneurs on the radio. Follow us on Twitter at the ENT Life or email us at info@theentrepreneurlife.com.